Okay, so next up we've got Finn. What's wrong, Freezy? You okay? Am I being weird? I'm being weird, aren't I? So Finn, overall quality of the pieces and whether it is beneficial to include professional work from shipped game title Train Sim World despite the quality difference. Oh, that's actually that's an interesting. Let me see here. So this is Train Sim World. This is the thing you're talking about, I think. I mean, when you ship a game, I think it's important to let people know that you shipped a game. The quality of this, while it's not crazy, like crazy high fidelity. Hey, thank you for the Twitch Prime, man. If you're on our Discord, there's a sub channel for you. You basically just get a bunch of pictures of people's pets, dogs and cats, and our emperor. So, I mean, I think the quality of this is, I think this is good. This is fine. Not this is fine. The room's on fire. This is fine. This is fine as in keep it in your portfolio. It shows that you shipped a game. While I would say though that you've got 4 thumbnails here, and there's no logo. Like I would love to see. Like sure, this is an Unreal, right? But I would love to see the Train Sim World like logo, so that I'm like, oh, that's actually a shipped title. Hobbit, I think so. I think so. It's okay when you link them together, you'll get this huge backlog of all these pictures. It's great. It's like a present that's just been growing on the inside, right? And then you're gonna open it, and it's just gonna all pop out. It's gonna fill the room so much you can't move, and then you'll die because there's no room for air or anything. But it's okay though, because it's a bunch of dog pictures. Yeah. So Robbed Vault. Let's check it out. So this is pretty cool. Man, did things went wrong here. Things went very wrong in here. This is cool. It's funny because like compositionally, you're like, oh my god, it's just cutting the scene, but it's telling a story. I'm down. I can get behind this. That sledgehammer though. I'm going to do it. I'm going to point it out. I'm so sorry. I'm going to point it out. A sledgehammer is in the ground. It's in the ground. It is crazy how often that happens in games. But in your portfolio, you should get real picky, right? And make sure that doesn't clip. But yeah, actually, I like this cutting into the image. Let me see here. So I think where there's blood, right? There's a little puddle of blood here. It looks like there's either a smoke grenade or a flashbang, maybe. Some bullet holes. Remember where the guys are, like where the security comes in. You're like, oh no, they shoot. There's a shootout, right? Think about where those bullets are gonna be. They're mainly gonna be probably around here. The ones over here, those are gonna be kind of difficult to sell, just because logically, like it'd have to be like the guy got shot and he was all like, wow, 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 and he sprayed it up. Oh man, fear. That was the next thing I was gonna say. So these 2 shotguns are in the same rotation, and I need to understand why there are 2 shotguns in 2 separate areas, or like the smoke grenade or flashbang. That's twice. Like I think you're trying to fill the scene up, right? Oh, this is a cool angle. I think you were looking at some reference. This is yeah, that's good. So the floor pattern is pretty cool. It feels really small though, like scale wise. And then the size of the paper, right, versus the money, versus the size of the guns. So it's like double checking the scale of everything. It was an inside job. Is this a police shotgun? A police officer's shotgun? This is a cool angle with the blood. But like, is that... So if this is blood, I really need to understand like why there's no splattering anywhere. Like there's just no... If there's anything I learned from watching Dexter, because that's super accurate, right? Oh yeah, it's super accurate. The blood goes everywhere, man. Like I want to see when I look at this puddle of blood, I want to see what went down just by looking at the puddle of blood. Like there's the there's the splatter, and then there's the pile of blood, and then it's all puddled up, but you can see that the person was struggling, so the blood's kind of smushed around from his hands or his legs or whatever. And then maybe like did they get out? What happened? If they got out of here, maybe they dragged their buddy with them. So then you can see like the drag marks, right, from them getting their buddy out. Handprints with smears. Yeah, stuff like that. Just to try and like draw conclusions from the details. Always spicy. Get the spice in there. I was gonna say that the ground scale was really odd, right? So like these tile pieces, maybe instead of 4 here, it should be 1 of these taking up 4 spots. So scaled up quite a bit. But the breakup of like how these become white here looks really nice. And then these security boxes look pretty good as well. The gold might be a little too yellow. You might want to check the albedo attribute. Oh no, the pearls. But yeah, that's a cool one. Let's look at this one here. Rhoda Rooney. Yeah, it reads as a 1 versus 1 with no conclusion. No crime scene. I read that as grime scene in my brain, and I was trying so hard to just say crime. No crime scene props, no bodies, but I think the ingredients are all there. There's no grime scene here. All right, let's take this in for a minute. Ooh. Ah. Nice. Gotta love that resolution. Yeah, let's auto to 140. It's gonna be fine. This shot is really cool. I think that the pipes might be a little... The pipes here are fine. These ones might be a little too reflective. I'm not sure. They're reflective to the point where it kind of feels like they have a like a glossy finish coat on top of the smooth metal. I think the way that this pipe is entering this wall, you might want to shrink this down in the texture. I have to know, I have to know how this is set up. I can't tell if these are decals or not. But this is a pretty good scene. There's a handful of things that are kind of throwing me off, which is like these edges being really sharp. I really like that there's the edge here, so you're definitely doing some research on like making sure that there's no leaks and stuff. Like the floor just kind of goes up onto the sides. There's some nice breakup of materials here. These little bolt things are very They're very flat for how large they are. If they're going to be this large, you probably want to do some parallax occlusion mapping on them just to try and get them to stick out more. But like when I was watching the video, there's a lot of differences in the types of roughness and surfaces. Like when I rewind back, we'll go back here and we'll just slow this down a little bit. This is too slow. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, so you can see like as the camera's pulling back, I love that this light's moving. You're getting little subtle changes in the roughness, like how the lighting or the cube map is reflecting along all the surfaces. And then when this comes in, that's when you get the like that sheen. You know, when you look at Battlefield games, there's a certain look to their surfaces, and this guy has it, man. You can feel it. So getting more of like, see, there's some more here of just kind of the scene reflecting, and I love the differences. There's like all these roughness variations happening. Just different surfaces, you know? Like it kind of makes me wish that the text on here was just a little bit more reflective than the wall, because then it even like pulls your eye to it when you see the light kind of pan across it in the reflection. Or like those these first aid boxes, like hopefully those are more reflective, right? Yeah, see, here is another really good example of just some breakup, some variation. It's awesome. This like smoke that's coming out, it feels like it's constantly going. And it would be cool if it's occasionally like bursting. I don't know if that's doesn't really make sense, does it? Because if it's coming out like that, it's pressurized, which means it's just going. Matt's Effect, what's up, man? How you doing? Bumby, also the text use the normals from the surface it's on. Like the big edge in one of them. Yeah. So you want to make it kind of look like there's some thickness to the paint, but at the same time that it's actually on that surface. Imagine instead of pulling out away from the red alarm light, we instead get closer and more of those water particles. Oh yeah, they're kind of snow-like because there's so few of them. See, this one's another good, like, dude, that's so cool. Seeing the light kind of go around like that. This is pretty nice. I feel like it's still maybe a little too reflective, or the rest of the scene needs to kind of come up in the roughness. But yeah, very nice. And then we'll look at the last one here. So you know what's really hard is to make an empty scene look natural. You like the beam in the ceiling? Wait, what? You talking? Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. The attention to, you're talking about this, yeah? Just how this is open. I'm telling you, man, this is the type of stuff that you don't do this unless you look at reference, and that's why reference is so freaking important. Like I wouldn't have thought to do that, right? But when you see it in reference, you're like, oh, I mean, of course I gotta build it. It's there. Yeah, I think if there's one thing I could say is maybe a little bit more depth variation in the wall surface itself. Like even though these are flat, it does not cost very much geometry to model these sticking out a little bit or some parts going in a little bit, just so that you get that kind of shifting of shapes when they move around. And yeah, palm decals would work wonders for these bolts. You could palm decal it's like a manufactured indent going inwards or outwards. Oh man, delicious, delicious. All right, so I was saying that it's really difficult to make an empty scene look natural, and I think you're doing a pretty good job of it here, especially this one. Because there's stuff where you're expecting to see things, and then using the fog to kind of like fill the scene out a little bit really helps. Really, really helps. That is that a rope? That is freaking serious. That's a serious rope. Uh, I think those are actually just textures. Yeah, so the thickness of the rope is throwing me off. And it's like it's clipping through itself, right? So you want to kind of like have it overlap on top of itself. Pixel 1's got it. Pixel 1 saw it. See, and I think it's just because you're using two different ones and you're trying to get more use out of it, so you've placed a bunch of them. Is you kind of want to build one that's like a lot of like intersecting ones, so you have a little bit of a pile, and then you can take these one and place them around the outside of it, just so that you get a little bit more. It is 9:03 already. This is cool too. With things of this scale, it's really important to get some macro information on there that helps make repetitive shapes or patterns kind of go away. What I mean by that is like, let's do this. What I mean by that is stuff like what you're doing here. This underside here, you've got this kind of like dirtiness stuff going on, and I'm guessing that that whole strip is tiling. If for whatever reason you can't tile here, or you want to kind of break it up a little bit further, you could, with another UV set, have some grime patterns that take up like the top half of an image. So like let's let me see if I can. I found that explaining stuff in Blender is getting easier, so we're gonna do that. Blender takes a little while to load now. I think it's my plugins. Okay, so okay. So let's say that this is your, oops. Let's say this is your texture sheet, right? What I was saying is like if you just cut a few here. Do that. Actually, like that. Yes. I'm just gonna separate these out so they're different colors. Okay, so if this is your texture sheet, let's say it's how to make a plane in Blender. Nice. So let's say that this is your texture sheet, right? It's a 1024 by 1024, and you've got some like we're doing it, guys. We're freaking doing it. Let's say that you got some grime here, right? And you're going like this. This is your grime pattern, and it tiles this way. Then maybe you have one that's a little bit more subtle. It's got like some smaller ones, and then this one, maybe you split the texture and just use a bunch of like single ones wherever you need. And then you got your one for the ground, like where it meets the ground. So, oh, nice. So when you think about your buildings that you have here, you could grab all of your geometry. You've already unwrapped it, right? You make a second UV set, and through your shader, you map with your UVs. You map to this, right? For this top area here, right? And then maybe you grab this bottom one, and you map it to the bottom pieces here, and then you just tile that evenly. And yeah, I mean that's just the beginning of it. Like you could take this spot here and maybe just grab this one, and you're using the same texture over and over. And just remember too that it's a mask, so you can kind of do whatever you want with it. Where those are at, you could make the roughness different as well. There's a lot you can do with that. That's why second UV sets are so useful for large scale shapes like this. Also, Matherian says some additional props: security cameras, building signs, loading bay 1B, or fake shipment brands. That's the branding that we were talking about earlier with some of the other reviews, the portfolio reviews. If you need to fill blank space but still make it look empty, that's where like looking at reference really kind of fills you in, right? It gives you the information you need, because in reality, a lot of scenes in real life aren't actually that propped. A lot of stuff is on the side because people in cars need to go around, people need to walk around and stuff like that. Yeah. Anywho, pretty good portfolio. I would say the overall presentation is good. I think the weakest thing is this one, mainly just because of how the story is kind of unfolding currently. The propping and the quality of like the way the gun is built and the scale is definitely an issue in that scene. Other than that, the 3 scenes are good, and this is totally fine to have there. And I would just suggest changing the logo to maybe like the game logo, so people are aware that you've shipped a game. Cool. Thank you for submitting your portfolio. I'll be right back, and we're gonna get into the Discord critiques. Okay, be right back.